And I'm going to start us out before we start the session with a poll. So if you quickly can answer this poll.
My name is Anna Filippo. I'm a second year in distance economics.
So keep in mind, there are a few more sessions left this week. We have a whole full day of sessions brought to us from the UCAP system-wide office. And then Friday, there are more sessions to come. So if this is your first session this week for our collaborative study abroad fair, you definitely want to check with your home study abroad office, your main campus study abroad office, of what is still to come. So I give it a few more minutes for those who are still trying to answer the poll.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a fourth year. I'm a psychology major with a public policy minor. And post-graduation, right now we're doing my grad school. So I'm working towards hopefully getting
And share out the results. So definitely you're in the right spot if you want to know how to do it safely and in the time of COVID. So you're definitely in the right spot. So I'm going to turn this over to Christine Lidstone from Student Universe.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, LaSharon, and thank you, University of California, for having me. I'm Christine. I'm a business development manager for Student Universe, and I'm based in Southern California. I'm in Laguna Beach right now. And I wanted to thank you all for joining and taking some time today. We called this session Traveling Post-COVID. Because, and it's just, you know, we're just still really right in the middle of this thing, and nobody knows when it's going to end, and it's such a crazy time with the election coming up next week. So, you know, everything I'm going to present to you is from yesterday and today. Everything could change in a few days. And, you know, I can also share resources with you of really good places to look for information on airline policies, anything like that, different countries, rules and regulations. University of California is obviously very on top of those kind of things as well. I know UCAP currently does have some spring programs running. LaSharon, correct me if I'm wrong. And so that's exciting. We are, you know, we work with universities all over the country, and we're definitely, you know, seeing programs tentatively being booked for spring, and that's very exciting for us. And there's different regions that are starting to open up. So I'm gonna talk about booking travel, tips for booking travel, and then about some of research we've done with, and some polls we've done ourselves with other students and how those have kind of transpired. Is it okay if I share my screen, LaSharon? I think this poll might go away if I do that. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry, the poll is actually still here. There we go. So hello. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment. Sorry, there we go. Wait. So sorry about that. I haven't done this for a little while. Here we go. Apologies. And here we go. Okay, so first of all, just really briefly, I'll talk about who Student Universe is. Student Universe is the largest student and youth travel company in the world. We are currently we're based in Boston, Massachusetts. We are on the ground in the UK, Australia. We are just opening in Canada right now, and we're expanding every day. We are primarily a tech platform, and you know, we realize that's where the student market is. That's where students are looking for travel guidance and want to book, and that's where we are. And we primarily cater to the student and youth travel market. That has always been our focus of what we do and how we do it. We are part of the Flight Centre Travel Group, which is a huge network of on-the-ground and online travel agents as well. And we do have 24/7, 365 travel help available all the time. And this came in very handy, you know, in the crazy days of March and April when flights were being canceled, students were being brought home really quickly. We had that team working around the clock. We had all hands on deck, and it was a really crazy time. I can imagine some of you watching today may have been impacted by that. And yeah, and it was, you know, hugely disappointing, I'm sure, but hopefully we will all get to travel again soon. Yesterday, I pulled these two little snippets from our website. Have you had a flight affected by COVID? And you can click on there. If you go to studentuniverse.com, click on there, and there's so much information there that is updated hourly. We have blog posts. We have lots of information for students who are looking for more information on when it's going to be safe to travel, where we can travel, how we can travel, if they have refunds that they need help with, all that kind of stuff. Also, it had something on our website about being under 25 and renting a car, because some people are just, you know, changing plans, a lot more domestic travel happening, stuff like that. So in April and in July, we did a survey. Both times, I think we surveyed about 2,000 students, just to ask them how, like, what are you experiencing right now? What are you feeling about travel? Obviously, you know, there was a lot of anxiety. There was frustration, disappointment, mainly just due to canceled or delayed plans. But both times when we surveyed students, there was just a lot of optimism that it would be time to travel again soon, and that they would be ready as soon as it's time to go. They want to go. And we're about to do another survey in October, and when that happens, I always share those results with LaSharon, and if you're interested, we could share them too somehow. And I actually said to LaSharon at the beginning of this presentation that we should do this again once we all get the green light to really start traveling and getting out there. We can definitely do something like this again when we're all ready to make some concrete travel plans. But in the meantime, I am going to give you some tips on booking international travel online and things to look out for, things that that you should always just pay attention to when you're starting to look for travel. We always tell people to make sure and confirm that your program's going. And that your travel dates, arrival times, and departure times are firm. As soon as you are confirmed, you should start to look right away. Historically, it has been a cheaper time to buy travel in October. So we are in the middle of October. It's a weird October. There is much more limited capacity, especially internationally this year. But domestically, we're seeing a lot of activity, and we're also seeing really, really, really cheap pricing. Really cheap pricing, especially domestically. The airlines are really just trying to get people in those seats. So it is a good time to look if you have concrete travel plans confirmed for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. Capacity is increasing every day right now. And the airlines are very good at figuring out the right price points to fill up the planes and make as much money as they can in such a weird time as we're experiencing right now. So generally, it's advisable to purchase domestic trips 3 to 6 weeks in advance, and international trips 2 to 4 months in advance of your confirmed travel dates. Pretty much the earlier the better is always the rule of thumb. There are sometimes it's kind of weird right now with everything going on, but there sometimes are flash sales. But as soon as you know you're going, start having a look and seeing what's going on. We definitely advise that you choose your travel dates carefully. So it is a kind of an urban myth that it's cheaper to travel on a Monday or Tuesday. Weekends are definitely the most expensive time to travel. So if you have some flexibility, definitely look at midweek travel as much as possible. And, just to kind of try and make that way if you can. Definitely look for student and youth fairs. You are eligible for them. They are unique. At Student Universe, we sell everything. If you went to Expedia, we have everything you could find on Expedia, but we also have student and youth fares, and those are contracts we negotiate directly with the airlines on behalf of students. Students tend to change their mind a lot, so we always look for flexibility for student tickets, and students often stay for a long time on their trip because they're studying abroad or they're traveling for a long time, and then sometimes people change their tickets because they want to stay longer and they don't want to come back. That happens a lot. Yeah, you're eligible for student youth fares, so I would really encourage you to also include a search for student and youth fares. Wherever you buy your tickets, always look at the terms and conditions of the ticket. The airlines are being super flexible right now because of COVID and allowing for maximum flexibility in general, but for student tickets, there's always that kind of flexibility. So, even when everything kind of goes back to normal, whatever that looks like, you want to look for a student ticket in case you have to make any changes to your travel plans, and they're always competitively priced. So I'd really encourage you to do that. Once you start looking online, you know your travel dates, you're searching around, definitely carefully review your itinerary. Look at the total travel time of your trip, because there are some situations that airlines are, they're saying that a flight is non-stop, but it's not direct. So I've been on those on Southwest. I'm sure some of you guys have too, where you are thinking you're on a nonstop flight, but you make a surprise stop somewhere. And then when you look at your itinerary, you're like, oh yeah, it does say that we're stopping in Oakland. So always look at the itinerary and the total travel time to make sure that it makes sense, that the amount of time it takes you to go from one point A to point B is logical. And it's not too long. Sometimes if you're traveling internationally and you're going through New York, you want to really look at the itinerary and make sure if you're going through New York, but you might be going through 2 different airports in New York. So into Newark and out of JFK, which anyone who's been to New York knows that's like $100 cab ride at least, or Uber ride at least. So definitely pay close attention to that when you're, before you pay for your ticket and you're looking at your itinerary. And most websites, including Student Universe, will allow you to put a deposit, and usually you have 24 hours to make full payment. So you can definitely, like, if you see something, lock it in and just very carefully look at the terms and conditions to make sure that it's not going to, you're going to be able to cancel it within 24 hours and what that time frame is. Be very careful with that for sure. We'd always advise people to look out for mixed carrier tickets. So everyone's pretty much buying tickets online these days. You can also call travel agencies. You can call us and book tickets. We're very happy to do that. Most people are booking online. And the websites are really good at finding the cheapest fare. And sometimes that is combining 2 different air carriers, and sometimes those carriers work in partnership together, so that won't be a problem, but sometimes they don't, and then it is a problem. So if you are in mixed carriers who are not partnering together, they will not hold the flight for you if your flight's delayed, or re-protect you on a subsequent flight. But if you're on carriers that work together, like Star Alliance carriers, they will. So it's something to really look out for when you're booking. If you have 2 different airlines, just kind of do a quick search and make sure that they're in partnership together. And also that is really important to look out for when you're considering baggage fees, because as we all know, airlines, sometimes for European tickets, transatlantic tickets, if you're not in basic economy, you will get one free check bag. But if you're somehow connecting to an airline that they're not partnering with, you will have to pay for the bag on the second half of the trip. Or in some situations, if you're going through New York and you have to go get your bag and then recheck it in and then, pay for it again. So that is really something to look out for, because that can end up being really expensive. And if you're just looking for the cheapest fare, which we all are, you want to definitely keep your eye on. So I hope that makes sense. At the end, I will definitely have time for questions if that idea doesn't make sense. And, you know, definitely look around, but don't spend months looking for your ticket. Have a look, get an idea of the pricing of the itinerary, and, you know, usually within a couple of days, you want to definitely lock it in and grab it and secure it. Research the terms and conditions. What's the cancellation penalties? What are the change penalties? Is it a long stay ticket? If you want to stay longer, can you? And if you like it and it's a good price, then just buy it. Don't wait too long, because I think many of us have had her. You are looking at something and then it disappears, and then you end up having to pay more. That has definitely happened to me in the past. So we are really, as I said, we're a tech company and we're a website, and we are looking every day at what's happening right now. We are seeing a really substantial increase in tickets being purchased on our website right now. The most, it's almost all domestic flights right now that we're selling. We're selling about 1,000 tickets a day, and most of those are domestic. So those are students who are going home, going for Thanksgiving, going home after campus is closed, or anything like just little domestic trips. But we're seeing a lot of searching, and a lot of people are looking for Korea, Iceland, Japan are 3 of the top search destinations right now. I think because people see those as safer places to go. Australia and South Pacific, New Zealand are definitely starting to become way more popular for searches too, as they really kind of get a handle on the virus and seem to be heading towards opening up more. But they're not there yet, but people are just definitely searching online for that, for those kind of destinations. The airline partners we work with have indicated that we are definitely, Student Universe and the students are going to be the quickest to recover, and we're already seeing so many more students trying to travel in some way or another, domestically, driving, doing whatever they can, which is just so interesting to see, and it you know, it makes sense. And you know, we have like just a lot of dialogue going on with students all over the country who are just so excited to travel and so ready to get going and see their programs open up and to start, like, you know, making plans for travel. So it's really exciting to see, and that's why I'm grateful that you all came today as well. So this is me. That's my email address, yeah, thank you for listening. I'm going to, I'll leave that up there for a minute, but, and I can stop sharing my screen. LaSharon, I don't know if we want to open it up for questions or comments.
Definitely, we can open it up for comments and questions. The one thing I will say, I am a product of the UC system, so just to kind of give you some advice based on some of the things Christine has mention. One, regardless of what program you're doing, if you're doing a UCAP program, campus-based program, or a program through an outside organization, don't buy your tickets until your dates are given to you, because one, you don't want to have to keep changing them.
Yeah.
Point number 2, when she talks about paying attention to fares in terms of changing your flight information or even baggage, I am the worst offender. I'm going to give you the LaSharon horror story. I was doing my graduate program in Australia, coming home with 6 bags, which I had no money to pay for any extra bags. Proceeded to look away just a moment, in which my boarding pass, my passport, and all of that had gone missing, which also made me miss my flight. If I did not have a fare that was changeable, it would have been disastrous. I had a change fee of $25 because I had done my homework in the beginning. Didn't really worry about all the other stuff. I'll let you know, I got all of that other stuff back because the person was just looking for money. Sadly, they didn't realize they weren't getting money from me. but did give me an extra week in Australia as well as some days in Tahiti. So it did work out in my favor in the end, even though it did cause a lot of headache. But by having a reasonable change fare, it made my life a lot easier to think about how am I going to get home from Australia. So those are two things. Make sure you understand what baggage is going to cost you. So don't buy everything and bring everything with you and then change fee.
Yes. Flexible tickets.
Yes.
They are lifesavers.
So we will open it up. If you can either use the raise hand feature or unmute yourself.
Like that are really understanding. I'm extra appreciative of because I think there have been teachers like through like
Nothing, no questions, no comments.
that I've had that like
I know I see that there are a lot of folks on here. I'm sure some of you have excellent knowledge and insight for these students because some of you, I know who you are.
especially because like sometimes
I hope some of you have some travels planned for the future.
what happens is always unpredictable. At least
Oh yeah, Leanne has a question about age limit for student fares. Generally, youth fares are applicable up to the age of 30 for anyone, so you don't have to be a student. If you're under the age of 30, you can just apply for a youth fare. The age for students varies depending on the airline. So we will tell you that when you're ready to book, if a student fare is available to you. It's why often we'll ask for your birthday just to open up what student fares are available, because we know there are some older students. And some airlines like Emirates, which I think is going to take over the world one day and be the only airline left, they don't have an age limit for student fares, so you can be an any age student. And Emirates also offers you a free stop in Dubai because they're really trying to encourage people to go to Dubai, which is kind of cool. Okay, so
I can read them all for you, Christine.
Oh, okay,
if that
yeah.
makes it easier. So the next one is, do you have any tips specifically for safety wise for traveling during and after COVID?
I think safety-wise, it's just all the common sense things you have to do when you're at home. I think if we could all, be smart and wear a mask and wash our hands, we could all travel more if we can all do that. And that's definitely the number one tip is like listen to the guidelines of the country that you're going to, the country you live in, and just general common sense guidelines for health and safety. I don't have anything more specific than that. I'm sorry.
Is it easy to rent a car if you're 21?
It's not easy, but we do it. So if you're interested, definitely look on our website and there's more information, but definitely if you're under 25, the car rental companies see you as more high risk, and that's internationally. So, but we definitely can help you with that.
On average, how much cheaper are student youth tickets domestically and internationally?
Honestly, pricing is changing constantly. We are very aware of what is competitive in the market. I can't ever guarantee that we're always going to have the exact cheapest fare. We'll never be more expensive, but we might be, if you're going from LA to London, that's everybody knows what the cost of a ticket LA to London is. So we will have the same price as everyone else, but we'll have flexible terms and conditions. So it's not $25 anymore, LaSharon. It's like $75. But and also,
did I just give away my age?
That would be amazing if it was. It's usually $75 on a student ticket, and it's a longer stay ticket, and also you can refund it or cancel it if you need to.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say, many of your study abroad advisors will tell you is shop around. It's like with anything. So if you're going out to shop for a car, you're not just going to buy the first car you see on the lot. You're going to shop around for stuff. So in the same way as shopping around for a car, you're going to shop around for your airfare flights.
Yes.
Are there any study abroad programs to Dubai? Well, maybe you can answer this, but I know I could answer this.
LaSharon, please answer this.
Through UCAP, no, there is not any programs to Dubai, but depending on what your campus calls programs through outside organizations, yes, there are many of them that will have. So if you're a UCR student through the OAP program, yes, there would be programs to Dubai. So you definitely want to go back and check with your study abroad offices of what is out there. But through UCAP, there will not be programs to Dubai, and you may even have some campus-based programs. I don't know what every campus is offering. So definitely check with your study abroad office.
So I know that Dubai is hosting the World Expo next year. Well, it was supposed to have already started. It's been delayed, but I've heard a lot about that as being very incredible, totally incredible.
How many days before your program starts should you plan on traveling to the country? And so I believe I have some UCAP system-wide folks on this call, so they may want to jump in with some answers as well.
From our experience in booking them, and then please correct me if I'm wrong, that is usually very clearly laid out that you need to be at an orientation in Seoul at 9 a.m. on this date. So your travel needs to get you to that place in that time. And then that, then the travel agent, or you can figure it out online, just make sure. And you always want to be really careful, again, international travel, crossing the date line. You lose a day, sometimes you gain a day. But yeah, you want to be very careful and be aware of when you're supposed to be on the ground ready to start your orientation for your program. And that's usually very clearly laid out in any study abroad program, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, you're dead on it. Some of it's going to be based on your program start date. Some of it's going to be based on what your visa states you can enter into the country. So there's a lot of different factors. So it's not a clear cut answer to answer this particular one. So it will vary. The one thing I will say is if your program starts on a Sunday in Australia, you're not leaving Sunday from the US because you're not going to make it because it's already Monday.
Exactly.
So keep in mind time difference when you're booking.
Yes.
So is Student Universe basically a booking agency like Expedia?
We're a travel agency, yes. 100%. And but we're primarily online, but we have people who answer the phone, old school travel agents who answer the phone and can help you make your travel plans.
And then the second part to that question is it the one used most by UCAP students?
Not historically, but hopefully in the future, yes.
Okay, and then the next question, are the tickets on Student Universe automatically changeable and or refundable?
Not automatically, no. Because we can sell every ticket. So some sale tickets are instant purchase, non-refundable, non-changeable. So that may be the cheapest ticket you initially see. Don't necessarily buy that. Look at the terms and conditions of it, because if you do need to make changes at the end of your program, which is the most common change that people make, is that they book their return flight at the last date of their program. And then after they've been there for 2 weeks, they're like, wait a minute, I want to stay longer. I don't want to go home. And then sometimes they change it again, and then they change it again. Many people change it many times because they just want to stay.
And then at least the last one in the chat is, what does travel insurance look like, price and coverage, when one books a flight through Student Universe?
Okay. Well, I know the University of California does have very comprehensive medical insurance for your trips. We also have insurance. It's such a crazy time in the travel industry. Everything is constantly evolving, and insurance is definitely trying to evolve and change to make adjustments for COVID. But we have insurance. It's on our website. It's not expensive. It's travel insurance. So it would also cover lost or stolen baggage, lost or stolen passport. It's not expensive, and it includes cancel for any reason. So that would be if you do just get cold feet and you don't want to go because you're just not feeling safe. It can help you recover some of your lost payments or expenses that way. But it is constantly evolving.
So the second part to that question was, is it dependent on the airline policy for the travel insurance?
No, the cancellation insurance is dependent on the cost of your airline ticket. So, because it covers the cost of your ticket. So it depends how expensive or inexpensive it was. And it's actually pretty clearly laid out on our website, the cost.
Are there any more questions? Well, my question then is anyone having any travel coming up in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Besides me.
Where are you going, LaSharon?
I'm heading to New Orleans.
Awesome. You were there right before the shutdown.
I was there right before the shutdown. Well, actually, right when the shutdown was happening.
Okay, someone's going to Japan. That's exciting. Next April.
He's probably one of your Japan ones searching around.
And you know, Japan rail passes are an amazing thing to buy before you go to Japan if you're going to travel around. They're way cheaper. They're like your rail passes.
So besides airfare, what other things do Student Universe do?
We sell everything. Rail passes, bus, car rental, insurance, everything.
So I see Mexico, some Beijing, some Tahoe. Utah. So at least, I mean, we know that travel is going to come back. This is the thing I will say is travel is not going to go nowhere.
No.
And the key point that I know it's not going to go nowhere, you're already here trying to figure out how do you get an international experience in the future. So we already know there's an interest. Well, and part of it maybe because you've been cooped up for 8 months, you're ready to break away. So that is a good
We all
thing.
have. We all have. And it's inspiring. The students are so inspiring. They're, you know, when the shutdown happened and people were trying to get home, they didn't want to leave. Everyone was forcing them to come home. And then as soon as they got home, they're like, let's go. Where can we go? Let's travel again. So it's very inspiring.
Now, this is a really good question. What happens if the location we're traveling to has no COVID restrictions and you, hold on.
Traveling to has COVID restrictions.
And you already planned the trip. So all of a sudden, I guess they end up with some additional restrictions, but you've already planned.
I mean, that is totally up to you. Is it that they have a quarantine, a mandatory quarantine time? Or is it that it's a lockdown? So you really won't be able to have any freedom when you get there. It really depends on where you're going. And if it's worth it, or if you want to just maybe delay for a short time. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah, it's a very uncertain time right now, especially with the election coming next week. It's just super, everything feels really up in the air, but you know, it's very geographically based on how the country has handled the virus. Mm-hmm. So it's a personal decision, really, I think.
If you're doing a UCAP or a campus-based program, and I mean, I'm just going based on what had happened based on when COVID first came out, many of our students did return home. However, there were a handful of students who did remain abroad. I know for UCR, my last student just came home 4 weeks ago. So it's really going to depend on the situation of whether or not you are going to come back to the States and finish out the term, or if you will remain in country. So it's really hard to say one way or the other. Our hope is that if it is a campus-based program or a UCAP program, a decision will be made well in advance so that you'll know whether or not you're going to a country that may need to shut down again quickly. Are there study abroad programs within the US? Yes, there are. And I highly recommend that touch base with your campus study abroad office. I believe a lot of the campus-based programs are going to be presenting on Friday, and many of them will have domestic program offerings.
Yeah, and I've heard of a lot of good volunteer programs in the US, like in
Yes.
New Orleans and stuff like that. An international driver's license? No, generally, depending on where you're going, do some research online, but you can use your California or US-based driver's license abroad for a certain amount of time.
And to add on to study abroad programs domestically, there are now virtual programs. So there are programs where
Yeah.
you technically don't even need to leave your house to do as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions? While you're coming up with those, I'm going to pop in my closing poll for you to take.
And guys, I put my email address in the chat. If anyone has any questions or concerns or anything, please email me anytime. I'd love to hear from you.
Discuss the barriers that you faced, but if there's anything else you want to add that you can. And then also,
And thank you guys. Thank you. Hello.
Let's see, I'm gonna
Tell me, I'd be so curious what questions they have.